Even if we are in lack of time, I now will bring forward 3 very quick questions from the civil society.
Hello, I am Cosette Maiky from Lebanon. I am an expert on conflict and post-conflict governance with 10 years of hands-on experience in many humanitarian settings. Most recently, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Yemen, Sudan, Libya, and Afghanistan. My question is, how would you address institutional corruption, bad management practices, and misuse of resources among UN agencies, especially in humanitarian settings? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Reid, and I'm from Toronto, Canada. International humanitarian laws and human rights are routinely broken, ignored, and violated by UN member states, both powerful and less powerful. How would you, as UN Secretary-General, decrease these violations and foster a situation where human rights violations were actually no longer acceptable?
Hello. Hi, I'm Katie. I'm 12 years old from Sandbach High School in England. My question to the candidates is, even if you're not selected, how would you try to help our world become a safer, happier, healthy place?
I should say that the second of the questions were posed from a lady who's actually here in the audience as well. Please, Madam.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, I do apologize, but I just have 2 important questions before responding. I think just very briefly I have to touch, it concerns the landlocked countries and the small island development states. I think they're very important. Just a few words. I do believe, as I said at the beginning, that the United Nations is about everybody, and the universality of the Agenda 2030, I think, makes us more flexible in order to put resources to the most disadvantaged, to those who cannot cope, who do not have their own resources. And I do believe that these are the least developed countries, the landlocked countries, where we have to put more resources, more emphasis in order to help them cope with this process, be it in terms of infrastructure, of development, of growth, of inclusiveness, of education, of connectivity, of new technologies. I think nowadays we have many different ways of helping these countries cope with the situation. And the small island development states, I think this is extremely important because it is very, very much linked to climate, and I myself was in Apia for the Samoa conference on the small island development states, working before on the Barbados plan of action and the Mauritius strategy. I think these are an extremely important roadmap that the United Nations have. And now we have to follow. We have to follow in the way which is inscribed into Samoa pathway so that we can get the specificity of the challenges in front of these countries to implement Agenda 2030. But this cannot be done if we detach it from the climate, the Paris climate agenda and the climate agreement. So this is where I think we need to put the dots together between Agenda 2030 and the climate agreement. And now, in response to the questions put forward, let me just say that I would say the international humanitarian laws or human rights, the question about how the Secretary-General could decrease these violations and foster situations. First and foremost, I think, once again, that the Secretary-General has a moral authority, a moral standing to advocate, to appeal, to talk to world leaders, to civil society, to others. I think this is a very, very important responsibility that the Secretary-General has. Then, of course, it is the question about how to leverage also the extremely important work of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, which reports to the Secretary-General and to the Council on Human Rights. I think in the process now of taking stock after 10 years of the existence of the Human Rights Council, this is probably also a matter in order to see whether this was a successful process. I think very much so, because the periodic reporting is bringing a new dimension to the universality of the promotion of human rights, of their interdependence, of their interconnectivity. I think this is an extremely important process. And this is how I believe, through the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, and of course, I would say human rights is the third pillar of the United Nations. It affects all of us. It affects all the action that we're doing in the different parts of the United Nations system. So by putting them very strongly up front, I think we will achieve also better results. Into the question about the institutional corruption, bad management practices, I would say that in any place, not just humanitarian settings, just corruption is not acceptable, and there are bad management practices. I think the United Nations has a very sound system through the internal oversight services, through the whistleblower also way of doing. It has been proven in very many instances that this works, functions, and I think it is very important to uphold the solidity of such a service, and of course, important to have zero tolerance against such practices. And the last question, it's how to make this world safer, happier, healthy place. Of course, if I'm not selected, this will not at all shake my belief in multilateralism and in the important work that the United Nations is doing. I have to say that I'm a happy person because I'm leading a beautiful organization with a beautiful mandate. It is the soft power of the United Nations, the mandate of promoting education, educating people, every boy and girl, of promoting sciences, biodiversity, protecting the environment, of protecting world heritage, the common heritage of humanity, of this incredible world of cultural diversity. And I think this gives me the strength, even after that, to continue promoting the same, I think, very highly needed ideas and actions nowadays in the world. Thank you.